Well, that was a very, very, very well-earned win on our part because we beat I think, a great team. I thought our defense the first half was the best it's been, better than North Carolina game as far as taking some things away. We did some things that we needed to do. Followed the scouting report, and I thought Jaron was unbelievable early, and it really hurt us when he got in foul trouble. Hurt us a lot, and we played a very good 20 minutes, and then halftime we warned our guys about their comeback against Wichita State. We're playing against 3 seniors and a junior, a very veteran team, and I love Farrell and Colson. Those guys are great players, and like great players do, they bounced back. We made 5 turnovers in the first 6-7 minutes after doing a hell of a job the first half. Took a couple bad shots, and they bounced right back in it. So it's still a learning key. I mean, the youth showed on our part, the experience showed on their part in that stretch. And to our credit and our crowd's credit, they got us back in the game, and it was great down the stretch. I thought Miles made some great passes tonight. He got Cash's 3 big buckets in critical time. But we had a lot of guys that played decent. We had some guys that played real well, but we got to keep Jaron Jackson in the game. And I thought, man, there was he gets some tough calls, but that was a big difference in the game. I thought his length and his athletic ability, and the fact that the second half we just weren't quite as sharp to start was a difference. So, question.
Coach, back-to-back wins against top-level competition, setting the tone on defense. You say that, but then also that fuels the offense. Can you take us through exactly what you were trying to go for offensively, a tone you were trying to set aggressively toward the lane?
Yeah, I think that's what we were trying to do. Exactly right. We're trying to be aggressive. We were trying to get our defense going, rebound the ball well, and run. And I thought we were running well. We had mismatches. Where Josh was a little shaky with the ball, and yet he was very good with his scoring. I thought Cash pushed it pretty well. Tom pushed it pretty well. When you look at, Cash is getting 7, Miles getting 4, Tom getting 5, and Matt getting 4 assists. That means that there are a lot of guys, and the ball was moving, and that's what we said we were so poor at for the first couple of games. So we rebounded well, we defended well, we didn't turn it over much, other than a 5-minute stretch, and I just thought the ball was moving better. We got a little tired. I mean, I'm a little concerned about our group right now. Miles hasn't practiced much, not in great shape. Kenny hasn't, McQuaid hasn't because of his injury. So, what do we do? We still got 2 more games in this 13 days of 6 games. And that is probably my biggest concern right now.
Tom, with that stretch in the beginning of the second half, when Jaron picked up that first foul, what was the difference between that stretch versus when you picked up the 4th foul defensively, how you guys were able to lock down Colson after that?
Well, that's a good question. Other guys weren't doing the job too. We weren't getting over the ball screens. They were dragging us out a little bit. They hit some rolls. They shot 50% the second half because they got a lot of layups and wide open shots, and we did such a good job in those ball screens, and I just didn't think our guards let down a little bit. Jaron got in foul trouble, and we weren't good there for a while. A little bit Xavier, a little bit, I thought Gavin did a good job. And I think the other guy that I'm feeling better about in some ways, but we probably played Ben a little bit too much because his legs aren't there yet to tell. His head's telling his legs to go, and his legs are telling his head where to go. So it's been a little bit of an issue. I got to do a better job of subbing. And yeah, when Jimmy got in foul trouble, that eliminated that.
Tom, when you walked off the court and you were looking at the stats on the video board, and then you come out and you're looking at the box score, what were you thinking when you were seeing that first half?
Well, I was thinking, first of all, I was thinking about our rebounding. To out-rebound them, double them up. Our offensive rebounding to get 15, that was the first stat I looked at. The second one were the turnovers. I knew we had more the second half. Disappointing to have 13, but under the circumstances, we had like 3 real early with Josh, and then we had 5 real early in the second half. And other than that, we probably played, 30-some minutes of very good basketball. And, I can't say again, I mean, I know they didn't look like it tonight, but they didn't play as well as they've been playing. And I think you can see stretches where they're going to be really good. I love his team. It's very tough matchups to guard them all. I thought they missed some shots early. Some was us, some was them. But I love Mike's team. I think, he switched defenses. He did a lot of things that I think are going to affect some teams this year.
Do you remember a better first 10 minutes? I mean, they shot 69% or 12-to-1 rebounding edge, 1 foul.
I didn't know that stat, so the answer would be no. I can't remember a better stretch. Maybe, as I told my team after, I think it was in 2000, we played UConn here and we were up 50-some to 17 at halftime. That was a better stretch, I guess. But against a quality team that is very solid. Those seniors make that team very, very solid. And I just thought the way we played it, give us some credit, and yet I don't think they were at their sharpest. So a little bit of both ways. I think we both agreed. We both got good teams. They're going to win a lot of games. I mean, that was a good win for us. Our crowd really helped us when we kind of struggled a little bit, which is what the home court's supposed to do. And, kind of went to Miles on a couple isolations. That helped us. He got a bucket. He got 2 big assists. So that was something different we haven't been doing. But we got to have Jaren Jackson in the game. He's just too valuable of a player. And he helps all those other guys when he's in. So, yeah, it was a great 10 minutes. I was kind of hoping that the game ended then, to be honest with you.
Coach, Cassius seems like he just has that clutch factor towards the end of the game, just hitting those dagger threes. What is that like to have a player like that at the point guard position?
Well, I think right now, we got like 4 different guys we can go to. We can go to Nick inside. He made a couple big plays. We can go to Miles anytime. And as he gets in better shape now and back on track, I think Josh Langford is a guy we can go to when we need a bucket right now. And, of course, Cassius, And sometimes I think I play him too many minutes, too. It wasn't bad, 26, but a couple of stretches. And a little sloppy at some things there, turning that ball over for a layup and that, a little casual. But there's getting to be less of those moments, And I think what he deserves a lot of credit for, and this is what I told him before the game started, I said, the big matchup is, of course, going to be on Colson and Farrell. And, Cassius, you spent the whole summer here. You didn't go home when everybody else went home. You lifted, you ran, you worked, you did it all for this. So you got, we were thinking of putting somebody else on him. And we said, no, we're going to put Cassius on him. And God bless him. He did a damn good job, considering.
Tom, that Jaren Jackson Colson matchup, obviously the length was a huge deal. He's a freshman who's got active hands, so he's probably not going to get a ton of calls this year. Like, how do you work with him on trying to stay? What's the steps for him to try and stay in shape?
We can't get foolish ones, One reaching one was foolish. The charge was, that was just ridiculous. I mean, he had just pulled up and hit a nice jumper in the middle of the lane, It's just going to be part of the learning curve. I mean, you think about it. I asked him to guard an All-American in his 6th, 7th college game, and one that can move. I thought Jaren he really got us going. If you want the truth, his defense, the way he guarded them, the block shots, the way he ran, he did a good job in the middle of the zone. Sounds crazy for a guy that played 12 or so minutes, but he was almost one of the stars of the game, just in the way he got us going. And then I thought Colson got a little, where he wasn't as active there for a while in the second half. Those 2 guys showed what their true colors are.
Tom, what did you see from these guys when it got down to 7-8? You were in those huddles and at that point?
We were disappointed in the fact that we weren't guarding. It wasn't our offense. We took a couple bad shots, but we just weren't guarding the same. And, I'm expecting the world, as I always do defensively. And this team has been way ahead of where I thought we'd be defensively. But we got to realize that we still, you win big games, you win championships. You know, we've said it since the day I got to this place because of your defense and your rebounding. And at the end of the day, even though they shot 44%, I thought our defense and rebounding won us the game. And we said we got to lock down a little better, we got to get better weak side help. And then we isolated Miles a couple times. We tried to get it down to Nick a couple times. We did a little better job of that.
Did they seem more level than maybe earlier this year or last season?
Oh, definitely better than last season, you know. I'm still waiting, and I told Miles this, I'm waiting for somebody to get mad in the huddle and say, we gotta do this, gotta do that. You know, we still need a little more out of a couple guys, if you ask me. But, you know, don't underestimate how good Notre Dame is, please, because I shouldn't even complain about one thing. We beat a damn good team, and in a not an easy situation for us coming back after those 3 games and that long trip, and got going right away, and they had a little break. So I was worried about that. I thought their seniors would rise up, which they did the second half, but thought our crowd and our young guys did a hell of a job there, and that's the first half stretch.
Tom, I realize you have to guard your team, but over the last 4 games that you've been dominant, double digits, and you keep saying, well, they didn't play their best game. At what point does your team get credit for being the ones who are keeping these teams from not playing their best?
Well, I think defensively we are, Hondo. I think we are doing a better job defensively, and we're causing some problems. I think offensively, we're still not executing like I think we need to, could or should, but we're going to get, you know, where we have a little more balance, inside-outside balance. But the hardest part of this year has been when they changed and put these Big Ten games in, it really changed our schedule. And so we didn't get many breaks where usually you play a game and you can work on yourself. We just didn't have much of that this year. That's the only thing that's hurt this team a little bit. I mean, we're still young. We're still trying to find ourselves offensively. And so, yeah, I'll give us some credit defensively, but I'll give us some blame on some of the foolish turnovers and some of the offensive execution that was better tonight, but hasn't been as good in the past.
Tom, you said that Miles is still sort of getting back into shape and getting healthy. What does it say when you can beat North Carolina and now Notre Dame without your All-American, your lottery pick being your best player?
Well, he's not. It wasn't our best player in some ways, but you got to remember too. Teams kind of, you know, they lean to Miles. So other guys get open because he's got the ball in the wing and he can do some things. You know, you don't always get what Miles gives us and will give us. You don't always see just in his stats. Like I said, he threw 2 of the nicest, simplest passes to Cassius tonight that were game changers. I mean, it was 2 3-pointers, 6 points. I don't think Miles could have done that last year. I mean, I think he's just better with the ball, but he's not, his ankle's, you know, 90%, but now his conditioning's got to get there, and he needs some practice time. So I'm excited because I think Miles is going to really start taking some steps forward, and Jaron, if we can get those 2 guys moving and get the rest of those guys to keep playing at the level they've been playing at, then we become a great team.
Coach in the back here. This is only the second time that you've played against Notre Dame and played against Mike Bray. How impressed are you with just the way that he's built his program and him as a coach?
You know, like I said, I love Mike. I got to know him when I was at GA here. He was an assistant coach at DeMatha. I recruited Carlton Valentine, who's Denzel's dad, and Mike was the lead guy in that. You had to go through Mike because Morgan Wooten was, you know, had his own thing he was doing. And so I got to know Mike real early at a couple of tournaments and then followed him at Duke. And, you know, I think he's done a phenomenal job there. You know, he's at a place where football's so big, but he's made basketball important. And his teams are, I guess the best word is disciplined and efficient. They're every year they're one of the most efficient offensive teams. I thought, looking at them, they're a better defensive team this year than some I've seen, in my humble opinion. But our running game hurt that a little bit early, and then, you know, they moved some things around and did a hell of a job. But Mike Bray, Notre Dame, his team, they're going to be playing I think, a long time come March and April, you know, I really do.
Tom, Bray talked about how good you guys were in transition. They just couldn't simulate how up and down you could get. I assume that's when you think your team is at its best, and how much is that about what Winston does, decision-making and everything else?
Well, I think, you know, Winston does a great job. I think both our point guards, what I didn't do tonight is play them together a little bit, which I think really helps, because Cassius can run that lane and he can score so well. But, you know, what really helps it, Bob, is when you defend and you rebound well, and people aren't getting offensive rebounds. I mean, they got 5 offensive rebounds. You can really push it, and I thought that was the difference. When you defend, you rebound, and you run. That's kind of been the staple of our program since the day I got here, and you know, ain't broke, why fix it? But I do think that's one of our strengths, just like I think one of their strengths is the efficiency in the way they run their stuff. Very good on ball screens. That was a difficult cover for us.
Coach, you touched on the schedule, and you had these 2 early conference games, kind of unorthodox because of the tournament you're going to add to the 20 games going up, and Mike commented on that earlier as to why he doesn't want to schedule home and homes with you guys. You got the Big Ten ACC Challenge. How does that change going forward, what you're going to try to accomplish in the non-conference November, December portions of your schedule?
You know, it's scary. I mean, where we're going, as we're going into 20 games, you know, conference games, it means less non-conference and balancing it out. And the tournaments are great, but they're always in places where the travel, and when you play 3 games in 4 days or 3 games in 3 days, the negative about that is you get no practice time. And everybody wants to get better in November. You know, you're not getting better in January, you're getting better in November. You take something you don't do, or you play a good team and they kick your butt on something, so you go to practice like Duke did. And, you know, they killed us. I mean, since that game, we've rebounded a little bit better. And since I don't trust the lawyers anymore, we didn't even put on pads, we just emphasized it a little more, you know, and that's what you try to do, but we have not had a lot of time, and nobody does if you're planning those things. So I think there was a guy named Jim Boylan, played for Marquette with Al McGuire, and he was our GA, kind of our restricted earnings guys with the Cleveland Cavaliers now. And he always used to say to our meetings, you know, Al McGuire said the most important thing in basketball is scheduling. It was over recruiting and it was over game preparation. It was scheduling. And he said he had a 3-year schedule. I got to call Jimmy and figure out how I do a better job, and not necessarily who I play, but when we play him and how we can get more time and things like that. It's been a little difficult, and I think that's hard on the players. You know, we got in at 6 o'clock the other morning. You know, that means Monday's bad, but Tuesday isn't so great either, because you know, that's usually gets you the second day, and that's tough.
Tom, sticking with the scheduling theme, early December, Nebraska, Big Ten coming in this week already. What are your thoughts on you're just rolling right into Big Ten play now, and like you said, you don't get much of a break here.
My thoughts? Why? That's my thoughts. Why? Why are we doing this, you know? I understand why. I mean, it's kind of a one-year thing, but it wouldn't be bad if we would have done this 2 years out so that we could have made the rest of our schedule. That's the only thing that I'm a little upset about, but I understand what they have to do, and they have to do what they have to do. And Nebraska comes in here, and you know, they had a big win the other night, and he's a good coach. He's beaten us here, I think, more than once, at least once. And so, you know, nothing's going to come easy for us right now. I'm trying to survive till Tuesday, and then we get a little break, and hopefully a little practice time, a little time off, a little time to heal. But this stretch has been one of the, you know, last year's was off the charts and miles covered. This one, the number of games in that 13, 14 days has been unbelievable. So that's going to be as big a concern for me, our team, and our health and our well-being, just as much as the teams we're playing.
Anything else, guys?
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Tom.